I work with the Global Mission Center for East Asian Religions, and part of our job is to help the church and our church members understand how to be more effective in reaching out to our East Asian brothers and sisters. One of the things that we've discovered is that ministry happens in unusual places and unusual times, and it's not always convenient. Ellen White gives us a great quote in Ministry of Healing, page 143, which says that Christ's method alone gives true success in ministry. And his method was to mingle among people, to minister to their needs, and to sympathize with them. And we have found in our own personal ministry that that really is true. One of the stories that we have is the story of our neighbor, Uncle Tong Luan. He was a great neighbor, an elderly man with children who were just past college age. And he adopted our kids, and they called him Grandpa, and they would go to his house and eat fruit off of his fruit trees, and we just had a really nice relationship with him. One day we came home, we passed his house, we noticed there was a large crowd gathered outside his house, and we didn't know what happened. We later found out, a few minutes later, found out that he had had a sudden stroke and had passed away quite unexpectedly, and the family was just devastated. And so we went and we decided the best thing to do is to participate as best we could as Christians. And so Greg had a camera, and he volunteered to be a cameraman for them and just to take pictures. And we found that this was a great opportunity for us to learn about their culture. What happens when people die? How do they suffer? How do they deal with death in their culture? And so we participated as best we could in their funeral service.
Yeah, it actually wasn't a good time. We had just started an English language school, and that meant that my life was very busy as the director of that school. And I didn't have time for this, but you know what? It was very important that we make the time. Because in Romans 15, Paul talks about how we should weep with those who weep and rejoice with those who rejoice. So ministry and mission doesn't come to us when we're ready. We don't do it when we're ready, but mission happens when problems happen. That's where the mission is. And so here we had an opportunity. What would we do? Well, there's many parts of the funeral in the Buddhist religion that we were not comfortable participating in because it's not our religion and it would divide our allegiances and our loyalties to God. But we found ways that we could help. So one of the things I did, even though I had to go to school during the day, in the evening I would come in and I would be a part of the wake there. All night long, they would stay up with the family. They would play poker. They would drink caffeinated beverages to stay awake and all of these things. So I went there to be a part of that and to be with them. And what I found is that it was hard to stay awake, but being there was so important. The family wanted that. And with those adult children, we would take time and they were playing games. So I just talked to them while they're playing the games. I didn't know how to play the games they were playing. But at one point I thought, I should bring a game from home. So I got some dominoes and I brought those over and oh wow, what is this? They hadn't played dominoes before, so I played it and I taught them how to play. And they loved the game. And we would play and do different things. One evening, the village chief came. And the village chief wanted to, be there to honor the family because this man had been a leader in the village. But around 2 o'clock in the morning, one of the sisters came to me, the daughter of this man who'd passed away, and she said, "Greg, do you have coffee in your house? We need to give him," and we ran out. And I said, "No, I don't have any coffee in the house." They said, "Okay, well, we're going to go look and see if we can buy some." I said, "At 2 a.m.? Everything is shut down by 9. There's going to be nothing." Well, they went and looked, and sure enough, 15 minutes later, they drove in on their little motorbike, and they said, "Oh, there's nothing. Are you sure you don't have coffee?" And I said, "Well, I do have something." What did I have? I had Roma, a roasted barley type drink, no caffeine whatsoever. I said, "It won't help him stay awake." And they said, "Doesn't matter, just let him have that." Well, this is, to make the long story short, over the next few days, it was like a 5-day funeral process. Mm-hmm. We were there the whole time. You washed dishes.
I would wash dishes. I didn't know how to cook. I hardly knew much of the language. There wasn't much that I could do, but I knew how to wash dishes. And so I would argue with them and then sit down because they didn't want a foreigner doing this, but I insisted, and I sat down on the little stool and washed dishes and washed dishes and washed dishes all day long. And then in the evening, Greg and I would trade places. I would go home, put the children to bed, go to bed myself, and Greg would stay and spend the whole night awake playing dominoes and visiting with the family.
They so much appreciated our time with them But it wasn't, I don't think, 2 or 3 months later, and you got really sick.
Yeah. I became very sick and was hospitalized across the border in the neighboring country. And the family was very, very upset. We had become children to them. In fact, the mother had said, you call me mom, you call me mom now. And these are your sisters and this is your brother and we are your family. And when I became sick and was hospitalized, mom was very upset. She said, she went to her daughters and said, Amy needs you, you must go, you have to go. And they said, but we can't, we don't have a passport. She said, no, you must go, you have to go. Long story short, they weren't able to come, but she prayed for me. And we found out later that she was saying her Buddhist prayers, but she was praying for me. We had become family to them, and we're still family to them. And it gave us a great opportunity to be able to share our beliefs and our hope that we have that Jesus is coming again with them. And it's opened up so many doors with that family, and it also served as an opening into the community. Because we belong to this family, we now belong to that community and had more influence with our neighbors and the leadership in that little village.
So anytime you want to make a disciple and share Christ with people, you have to remember, we have to make him real by our way we live. Jesus is not just a doctrine. He's a way of life, and when he transforms us, people see that and are attracted to him. This is the first step, no matter whether people are Buddhist or Muslim or what faith they are. We want to be genuine friends with people. If you would like to learn more about how you can reach out to your neighbors, go to www.globalmissioncenters.org. And if you'd like more information on how you can reach your East Asian friends, go to cear.globalmissionscenters.org. God bless.